or that, or the fanciest fashions. Technologies is conserve resources and use non-nuclear, renewable, natural energy sources like solar panels, wind power, biogas, from sewage, etc. We've got to stop the loss of biodiversity, and then unfortunately, we look at this situation. In order to get a nice level future, like everything's cool until 2100, we also have to double the resource base. Okay, this whole success story that we hope for means that what they did is they just artificially raised the whole resource base and doubled it. Okay, which is not very realistic. Okay, so now let's see how we can take the actual situation on this side with our dwindling resources and our hoped for situation on that side, which is the nice future for everybody, and then take a 5-year plan of what the hell do we do. Okay? And then you simply take, for example, that resource line, and that's where we want it. So we have to massively boost our resource base to just stay alive, guys, okay, into the future. We give our children a future as well. For example, the population, it's there at the moment, and this curve came out of there. So kind of, you could just say, we've got to keep it like it is. Not more people, and we don't have to like suddenly go into like euthanasia and try and reduce the population. If we just keep it on a balance like now, we will be okay. And all of the other trends need to be kept at the present situation. But that red line is the absolute bottom line. We have to boost our resources substantially. And so then there's all these other strategies that we could use. The number one strategy is legalization of cannabis hemp, because how the heck are we ever going to get that red line going? Okay. Then biogassing of sewage for methane, local and urban agriculture, seed saving, household water catchment, wind power, equity, concentrating solar thermal power, and then also co-investment, de-urbanization to rural villages. All civilizations that have collapsed in the past had to abandon their cities. So we might as well just get proactive and start putting young people onto small holdings and farms to grow the resource that we so desperately need. There's a future. Okay. And there's a couple of other ideas that I've written there. Job swap to work closer to home, recycle and reuse, and stabilize the population at present levels. Okay. So this picture is, I'm going to go quickly into it. This is a food flow through a society, through a little village over here. Foreign imported food comes through. We use a lot of it. That's why these resources are shown up fully covered in. And we have supply to the local shops, to the households, with very little use of local resources, local water catchment, local energy supply, local fertilizers, and local solar energy capture. And so then what happens is the solid wastes go to the dump, which creates methane emissions. Garden waste goes to the dump. Sewage goes to a situation where it's these open reservoirs, which they periodically stir to release methane and carbon dioxide. And then the sludge still contains pathogens, and they might put that on trees, but you cannot use that sludge for things like root crops, for example. And then they dump the water into some or other environmental sink and pollute there if it's not properly done. In Cape Town, they dumped something, I think it was 300,000 tons of sewage off the sea recently. Raw sewage, not even treated. So by replanning, we boost our local resource capture, local water management, local energy, local reuse of sewage and manures and fertilizers, and boost our solar capture. We can then move our garden waste to the sewage works. This is to the Greyton guys now. Instead of having garden waste going to the dump, move the garden waste and chip it, mix it with the sewage, create, alter the open tanks to closed tanks and create methane with it. Settle the sludge out. There will be no pathogens in biogas sludge. There are no worms, no viruses, nothing. It's pure, it's clean. If you dry it quickly in the sun, on a clean concrete slab, you can pick it up and eat it as a mineral supplement. Very nice if time to family. Otherwise, you can use it as an organic fertilizer for a new initiative run directly by the household. So what you've got here is a loop going of sewage, energy. This is methane for local power generation, as well as a loop here for of the nutrients, the actual minerals in the sludge, phosphates and sulfates and calciums and stuff that we actually need. And then instead of dumping the water into the local river, you bring that around as well as a water loop to create locally controlled agriculture. And that will probably be the hemp or the cannabis as well. Grown on sewage water and grown water. Okay. So that all translates into a little dashboard diagram which has inspired me for years and years, which is to take this diagram and go and do a local census on the people at home. How many people, age groups, health situations, etc. How much power would they need to, this is the power graph. How much power do they need to feed to their homes? How much sewage do they produce? How many animals and poultry do we have? What is our area of local land crops? Let's look at ourselves, guys, and maybe you datify your entire village with this diagram. And then this is the sewage works which get converted to the biogas digester to reduce the methane for the power of people at home. Here's the sludge going out into the land crops and the crop waste to there to be re-biogassed. Here's animal food. Animals provide food for humans. Land crops and forests provide resources and food for humans. So this is an equation. You can actually put sums into this dashboard and start balancing the books. What it really boils down to is that after all the numbers have been crunched, the number of people at home cannot exceed the water catchment, the solar capture, and the photosynthesis in the area. Okay? So that provides you with a way of deciding whether your community is sustainable or not. Okay? How do we do that? We don't beg the government, we don't appeal for sponsorship, we have to do it ourselves. Localized stock fields, food gardens everywhere. Okay? Community cooperation. It's much cheaper to cooperate than to hire somebody and find the money to do that. Home-built wind power, home-built solar power, seed saving, rain tanks and guttering on every house, and recyclable water. This is a side issue, but this is a Dhaka Party policy. It's going to be a Dhaka Party policy if we ever get a chance to apply it, and that is no GMOs in agriculture at all. GMOs in scientific studies, which Monsanto does its absolute best to disregard or speak down upon, but without replicating them, shows that Roundup, which is the glyphosate, which is sprayed on our cannabis in the Transkei, and genetically modified toxins, the VT toxin, whether it's GMOs only, GMOs and Roundup, or Roundup only, they all cause cancer in rats to the point where they never got to the trial, the rats die of cancer. That's happening to us. The rat eats that much of GMO per day. We eat so much millipup per day. The dosage per kilogram of species is about the same. And the epidemiology of GMOs in America is already showing that it's a very toxic situation. Another plan is not just to import food from far away, but to create a local agriculture. We look at our community as a living cell with all the diversity of parts that a cell needs, but there's those in our community as well. I'm coming to the end now. We have to face that we are a natural species and we are not above nature. And this is, you find this diagram in all ecological books about how the ecosystem really works in terms of energy moving up the levels from photosynthesis to the herbivores, to the omnivores, to the top predators at the top. And you can't have a human at the top without the photosynthesis at the bottom. And where are we going to get the photosynthesis? It can only be cannabis. Okay, actually. So this is the idea, is to replace our peak oil situation with a new solution, and that is to jump off fossil carbon onto cannabis carbon. Then what we're doing is we're employing a technology which is solar powered, very water efficient, drought resistant, has multiple benefits, and we don't even have to build anything, it's self-replicating. So it's like, what else is going to be cannabis for that solution? So that's the kind of crop rotation I would like to see between the other types of agriculture that we do.
Where is that?
I wish I could tell you it was my backyard. We're working on that. And then of course the fact is that not only do we grow our energy, we have then also material resources to have in our economy, provide us for our material resources. And we could not only have resources and buy them with our existing rands. If we had to look at monetary policy, instead of having a debt-based currency, we could say, okay, let's issue currency into our country based on cannabis in the field. Because on principle, if I need cash and I have a field of cannabis, I have collateral. Means I can raise a loan for whatever reason based on my collateral. My weed comes in a month. I can pay you back to the 1 million. Okay, so by taking that principle, we could use cannabis in the field as a backing for the rand, which makes it an economy of abundance and participation, and not just we need gold, we need to mine gold and go to war over resources to run our economy, to have money in the economy. And not only does the cannabis provide the backing for the currency, provides the resources you can buy, and it even provides the paper that you print your money on. Sure. So that's the shared vision. Cannabis, water catchment, sun, a solar society, this equation applied to every single metro, village, farm in our country, and maybe it's something that all the bureaucrats and water engineers and agricultural employees might just have, which becomes our tool to talk collectively about our situation, whether it's the people at home or the lack of crops or the amount of aquaculture downstream from our sewage works, for example. And that's, okay, voting can, the year has changed, but not much else there. We have to form a local Dhaka Party group, promote community cooperation, initiate food and water security projects, register to vote, and vote Dhaka Party at elections as if your life depends on it. Because it does. And that's it, really. Thank you very much.
So I think to sum it up, so as you can see, it's a very valuable plant for us, resources-wise, and Jeremy has obviously got massive insight into how you can put this all together and try and squeeze it all into 20 minutes. Well done. So yes, as you can see, we can fit this into every part of our society, and next up is choosing the mental. You guys, everyone's still okay? Doing alright? The chairs are sufficiently hard, so you shouldn't fall asleep.
Thanks for listening. I have to go and eat.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
second alarm.
Okay, as Chris is just setting up our split screen thing, hello everybody, and thank you so much for coming. And we really love, we go all around the country giving our talks, but these are our best kind of events because we know that everybody's come here with a good heart to find out more and find out what we will be doing. On Saturday afternoon, we gave a talk at TEDx in Cape Town. And for those of you who don't know about TED, it was a conference that was started in California 25 years ago, along the theme of ideas worth sharing. So what they did is set up a conference where they got, say, 15 to 20 experts in their field and only gave them 15 minutes in order to get their idea across. And then the whole TED idea spread from California, that spread around the world, and now you have TEDx in all different centers around the world dealing with local issues up to global issues. So there's now TEDx Cape Town, which has been going for 5 years. And we were really, really honored to be invited to speak at the City Hall on Saturday afternoon. We absolutely shattered ourselves. We were all dressed very smartly, and there was 1,000 people in the audience, and they even gave us a coach for our speech, and we had our 15 minutes on stage. So we've been, when they invited us to speak at TED, I was speaking to Rob, and he very kindly said, please come to Greyton. And we've never been to Greyton before, so that's why we're here, and we'd like to share our 15-minute TED speech with you. It will be coming out on YouTube in the next 2 to 3 weeks in an edited version. So just imagine that this is us on the Cape Town City stage.
How many people saw it?
Did anybody see it?
There was stalwarts in the corner. It was live streamed around the world, and I'll back Myrtle up on this one. We really were nervous. We do this lot.
And we were only at 3:30 in the afternoon, so we had to be there at 8:30 in the morning, and we had to wait the whole day.
It's
and
the
we see
longest...
all these amazing scientists and people speaking with all of their PhDs and fancy letters by their name, and then there's us stoners.
We call it ordinary criminals, because that's what we are. We're as ordinary as everybody else. We don't have PhDs. I didn't go to big school at all. I just travelled the world. That's my education. And between us, we've been using the plant for probably 50-odd years now, 30-something years. There's never been more than a week in my entire life, my adult life, that I haven't used the plant in some form or other. So there has never been a TED talk about cannabis legalization, ever. There's only been 4 talks ever in the world in Canada in TED in 15 years about the war on drugs, as a generalization. So we seemed to seize the moment. We rehearsed it.
You must have said about 1,000 times.
I don't know, it drove us mental.
But now we haven't said it since Saturday afternoon, not even in the car.
And I blotted it out of my mind. I blotted the whole thing out of my mind.
But we might just be the first people to be standing in this room, speaking to you lovely people of Greyton, who are facing 10 years in a South African jail.
True story. That's what is happening at the moment. But it didn't used to be like that. We had very nice careers in the South African television and film industry. We would travel Southern Africa making movies, documentaries, sitcoms, reality TV. We had a fruitful and creative life.
And then last week, on the 6th of August, we have our 5-year anniversary of a night that we'll never forget. It had been a long day on the studio, and we were fast asleep in bed. All snug, it was 2 a.m. when all of a sudden, Olive Oil, our Jack Russell, levitated off of the bed, and we heard voices outside, we heard footsteps outside, we thought we were being robbed, and then all of a sudden there was this loud banging at the kitchen door.
By the time I got to the kitchen door, in what amounted to my jocks, it's 4 degrees outside, and I can see the door moving in the frame. There's some really pissed off people behind that door. I opened the door, and there's 6 gun barrels pointed at me. And somebody is screaming, "Do you have illegal drugs in this house?" I immediately said, "Yes, I have cannabis in this house." And I actually opened the security gate to let them in because they were just about to shoot the locks off the door.
What followed was a 5-hour ordeal in our home. They strip searched me 3 times. They separated us out. They wouldn't let us put more clothes on. All the while screaming at us, "Where's the drug lab? Where's the drug lab?" Well, I can say this now. "Waar's die fucking lab? Waar's die fucking lab?"
Can't say that in text. But we felt like it because it rings in our ears all of our lives. Because at that point, they wouldn't let me wear my glasses, and I had a gun in here for 2 hours. And I sat there in my jocks while they're saying, "Where's the fucking lab? Where's the lab?" And we're thinking to ourselves, you know what, these guys have just made mincemeat of our driveway gate, they've taken it all off the runners, they've forced entrance, there's no warrant, there's no nothing except fear. And we want to know at that point, where are our human rights here? This can't be going on for just a minute.
So then eventually, it got light. They marched us around our whole plot, and it became glaringly obvious that there was no drug lab. So then they hauled us off to the police cells, and I will never forget the sound of that huge big metal door clanging shut. Locked, huge big key.
We didn't know it then, but we know it now that we were really lucky, because this was a Wednesday morning. And we really have a nightmare thinking what it could have been like if we'd been thrown in there in the thick of a Saturday night. It's another story altogether. So we were both alone in cells, back to back, and we actually sang to each other to keep the levels of fear down, because this is the unknown thing. How many days is this going to be? Is this forever? So the only thing I remember about that cell at the time was the only other thing in the cell was a pile of blankets in the corner, and I thought to myself, oh man, have I really got to put those on tonight to stay warm?
You know, no human being should be subjected to the degradation of a South African police holding cell. The cell that I was in had a hole for a toilet in the corner. And that stench, as all of you who've been arrested, that stench doesn't leave your nostrils for months afterwards. It's the smell of humanity. It's really revolting.
Luckily for us, by the end of the day, we were charged with possession of cannabis and released on 1,000 rounds bail each. And we are still, 5 years later, on 1,000 rand bail each.
Yeah. That same 1,000 rand bail, you know, we thought we were free. And in an instant, we realized that we were not. You will think that you're free, and it can all happen to you. And I know that it's happened to a whole lot of you in this world. In an instant, you realize, you're not free. Anyway, the dust settled, and we found the bail lawyer.
Yeah, you know that bail lawyer? He was 6,000 rand with no receipt. You probably met one of those guys. Yes.
So then I said to him, okay, well, what's going on with our case? And he said, well, we're going to get a social worker to come and testify in court as to why you shouldn't go to jail. So I'm like, jail?
Jail?
And he said, yeah, you're facing, under the statute, South African statute, you are facing 7 to 10 years in jail.
Can you imagine the blood just drained from our face? At this point, we had no idea that possession of cannabis could do this. This is really serious stuff. We really had no idea whatsoever.
So, we realized we mulled this over for a bit, and we realized that we were left with what was basically 3 potentially life-changing choices. Our first choice would have been to admit guilt. Okay, we're guilty, found it up in our house, okay, sorry, you know. But then, it would have changed everything. Because you know what it's like, you've got a criminal record, it's going to affect your job, it's going to affect if you want to travel, it affects everything in your life. But this thing sitting there where you're a problem.
Second choice. It was South Africa, so we could pay a bribe. We could. They actually said it's 80,000 rand, 40,000 each, and we'll make all the documents disappear. We went, 10 grand, 10 years, 40 grand, 10 years, 40 grand. We thought, you know what, let's do it. We might as well just do this. We'll be broken, but at least we'll be free. And then we thought, well, they're going to come back, because we're not about to start smoking cannabis. So we would have just perpetuated this evil system that we were now embroiled in.
So our third choice was to actually challenge this irrational law. Because the more we thought about it, and the more we relived over and over in our minds this huge invasion of our privacy in our home, we realized that it's actually a human rights issue. It's about sovereignty, it's about cognitive liberty, it's about the freedom of our minds. Why can't we get high? Our minds are not free. We can't go do whatever we want to our minds.
So what we did is we spent the next few weeks writing a 44-page affidavit claiming our human rights to use the cannabis plant in the privacy of our home. We got a very, very wise man with an extremely expensive signature to sign it off, and we handed it in to the Pretoria High Court, and we were successful. We have been given a stay of prosecution pending the outcome of what has amounted to be this massive constitutional challenge. We have actually set a precedent in South African law.
And then, you know, life has to go on. So we were driving to work the one day, and we saw this poster on a lamppost there. And we laughed, and we said, oh, a couple fight for nothing. That's fine, George.
That's what we figured that was.
Yeah. That's quite strange. So we get to work, and a friend of mine phones, and he says, oh, you're on the front page of the newspaper. And then we realized it was us. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we became the Dachshund. The somewhat reluctant activists. We threw ourselves into the middle of this whole thing.
Reluctant activists indeed, I'm sure. So the man with the expensive signature, he gave us two very fundamental pieces of advice. He said, don't be in a hurry, because this is really, really big. And you are going to have to convince the majority of South Africans that this is the way forward. There has to be majority rule in this, and that's the tough bit. The second bit is you're going to have to form some sort of umbrella organisation to funnel all the information that's going to come into you, because this is going to get very, very complicated. So, with the blessing of the Law Society of South Africa, we germinated South Africa's very first non-profit company for cannabis, Fields of Green for All. And what Fields of Green for All is doing is telling other people about their rights, educating people. If you're a cannabis user and you don't know your rights, it's going to be trauma. Evidence gathering. We've got so much information going on here now, there'll be a bucket load arriving at the High Court when we get there. And of course, the ever-present fundraising issues to keep this show on the road.
So, as Fields of Green for All grew, as it does, so did our inbox. No one has seen our inbox. It grew, and we realized that the harms of the prohibition of this plant far outweigh the harms, perceived harms of the plant itself.
Yeah. You know about people, you know about the stigma and the leverage people use in divorce cases and stuff, matrimony, and child custody cases. They use DACA as a leverage tool. She's an unfit parent. It happens all the time. Or the stigma surrounding workplace drug testing. That's my biggest one. Or the stigma of losing your job because you have a relationship with a plant. It happens all the time.
And then, you know, the list goes on with the actual harms of prohibition. But the one thing that really got to us was this bus after bus after bus, all over South Africa. From KZN to Cape Town to the Northern Cape, everywhere, just the news busing people over and over again. So one of the first things that we did in our campaign was to teach people to know their rights. Because if you know your rights and you get arrested for cannabis, it's a far less traumatic experience. Most of the people that we've had sitting on our couch at home crying, and it was such a terrible experience, and you know, really, really traumatic, they didn't know their rights, just like us from the beginning. We didn't know our rights. So that became like a big thing for us to teach people to know their rights. You know, call it what you want. Dacha, marijuana, cannabis, pot, weed, sangu, bang, gras. We knew Swazi cheese. We knew that when this all started and we became the Dutch couple, we knew that we had to do an incredible amount of research. We had to know what we were talking about.
You can't believe how many hours I've spent in the State Library in Pretoria looking through all the old statutes to try and figure out how it all happened. How did this all happen? And I found out to my dismay that it happened right here. In fact, it happened up the road in the town in 1870. And the British colonials banned their Hindu slaves from using their sacraments because it made them unfit for the duties for which they were brought to the colony in the first place. True story, that's what they said in the statute. By 1890 it was banned in Cape Town in the Cape Colony. But it wasn't Hindus, it was Malays. Because it made the Malays indolent and prone to housebreaking. Nothing changing. In 1925, on the strength of one letter from the South African government, the League of Nations banned cannabis worldwide. So it wasn't just started here, it was perpetuated here. Everybody, a lot of you in the room might remember Richard Nixon in 1971 with his all-out war on drugs. Well, in 1971, the Rehabilitation Act was passed in South Africa, and in its first year, 70,000 black men were arrested for nothing. We are fighting the 1992 Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, which states cannabis is a dangerous, dependence-producing substance with no medical application whatsoever in the same category as heroin and tobacco. So you can see that there is absolutely no scientific basis to this whatsoever. This has got everything to do with population control. And we are telling everybody that this is the last apartheid law.
You know, we've seen it, we've smelt it, the system is broken. It's based on fear, it's outdated, it makes ordinary criminals of people like us. It costs billions and billions to enforce. It's costing us billions to put it right. It's the only law where you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And our work has only just begun. We're preparing for the trial of the plant next year, and it's going to be starting with Victoria High Court in March 2016. And it's important to note that we are the plaintiffs and the government are the defendant. We are the ones accusing the government of instituting an unlawful law. And once we're through the High Court, we're going to go to the Constitutional Court. But we're not stopping there. We're going to take this challenge all the way to the International Court of Human Rights so that this plant never has to be put on trial anywhere in the world ever again.
The relief that we're asking from the courts is the re-legalized regulation of the cannabis plant for responsible adult use. We think that the system that was put in place to prohibit and control is completely out of control. And we need to bring some sort of regulation into the system and legitimize cannabis and bring it into the marketplace just like we do with other legal intoxicants. Legitimize the underground cannabis market, because you all know that it is a massive network of cannabis users and distributors. It's been there for generations and it's worth billions. So we think that the irony of it all is the only way you are going to control this plant is to set it free. But we are looking overseas because there's legalization pockets happening all over the world. It's early days yet, but we can tell you that the sky hasn't fallen in.
So how about it, South Africa? What are we waiting for? Actually, what are we waiting for? This is the most researched plant on the planet. We know about the health benefits. We know about the thousands of industrial uses. Eh? We know that already. We know about the economic potential. South Africa has got a vibrant, young constitution. We have already dealt with such significant issues as the death penalty, abortion, gay rights. And we've dealt with those issues in a mature and forward-thinking way. Pat ourselves on the back. We've done.
The next piece of information is out of context here because I think I'm speaking to the choir here. I can see many, many cannabis users in this room, the majority of cannabis users. But at TED, we took it that there were 1,000 people in the room, and we know that Cape Town has more signatories than any other city in the country. It is the money. And we estimate in Cape Town that if there are 1,000 people in a room, any room, 2/3 of them either have used, or condone the use of the plant. And that kind of goes true throughout the whole of South Africa. 2/3 of this country are in favour of change, or they use the plant. So we would consider that to be completely not normal behaviour. Yes? Right.
But then you have to ask yourself, what is the next step? Okay, so we know all about the plant, we know about the good of the plant, we know about the harms of prohibition. So the next step. You see, there's one thing that is holding us back. And we call it this common perception. People think that people who smoke dacha use cannabis, however you want to term it, are this guy. A lazy, low frequency, low life loser. That's what the general public out there think of us. And it is our job to change this perception.
You know, when we do our Johannesburg street parties and there's 4,500 people in front of us on the stage, or we join the Global Cannabis March in Cape Town, 10,000 plus this year, we don't see the stereotype anywhere anymore. What we see is a complete cross-section of South African society, young and old. Every single colour of our rainbow and absolutely every socio-economic group. So, I don't know about this common perception at all. Where did all of those people fit into this common perception?
You have to ask yourself, what about the executive who uses cannabis to relax at the end of her busy and stressful day? Where does she fit into this common perception? What about the policeman who came to us after a presentation in Port Elizabeth the one night? And he said, you know what, I am so strung out from my job that if I didn't use this plant to relax in the evening, I'd shoot someone. Where does he fit in?
Or what about the person who suffers from cancer and uses cannabis to get over the horrendous side effects of chemotherapy? Where does she fit into it? Or the rural farmer that's just had all his crops devastated by police in helicopters and they vainly try to eradicate dacha in the back. Where does he fit in? Where do we fit in?
Where do we fit in?
And more to the point, where did all you fit into this common perception?
It's time to be open and honest about your use of the cannabis plant. And we're inviting each and every one of you and all of your friends and all of your family to come out of the cannabis closet. Because this is the only way that we're going to bust this common perception.
And send a message.
And we need to send a message to the lawmakers that it's not going to be political suicide to get rid of this cruel system. All these politicians, they think that they're just going to go down the drain if they say yes to cannabis legalization. It's up to the citizens to send that message to the lawmakers.
But don't worry, we're not asking you to get a dacha leaf tattoo on your arm. We're not asking really already. And we're not asking you. We're not asking you to. What are we not asking you to do? We're not asking you to get the tattoo. We're not asking you to put this a multi-million-dollar challenge together in the Constitution. That won't help either. We're not asking you to stand up in public like this and tell the whole world you use cannabis. What we're asking you to do is go home and stick up for the plant and try and normalise it in society. Just in your conversations and in your circle of friends and in your hood. And that way, we will get the message across that we have busted this kind of perception.
You know, we really are working very, very hard to bring you the definitive trial of the plant next year. And we're doing this with an amazing legal team. And we're doing this with incredible activists across the country. And by bringing you the definitive trial of the plant, we are creating this legal will. because we believe that this fight needs to start with the courts. But it's up to every single South African who uses this plant or has any sort of relationship with this plant to create the political will. Because ultimately that's where it ends up. The law gets changed in Parliament. The court can direct the Parliament to change the law, but the final decision comes with the lawmakers. So it's up to all South Africans who use this plant to create that political will, we create the legal will, and together we win. Because this is the master party of all South Africa. Cannabis prohibition started here. Let's get rid of the stigma and end it here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a large
question. Or we've got some other people who would like to share their stories, and then we can all have questions over a cup of tea.
Can I just have a quick show of hands? Who's ever running with the law because of a cannabis plant?
Or something else.
Wow.
Or something else.
Or something else. Sorry, do that again. Do that
Has
again.
ever put their hands up again?
That is as hectic as it gets anywhere in any town we've ever been to. Sometimes we never even get a hand coming. So one of the main reasons we're here is because some really, really on it activists in South Africa are in this area, and we thought we'd better come and say hello because you guys have been going through quite a hard time. There's some Rottweilers out there. Are there any Rottweilers in here? Did they come plain clothes Rottweilers? They didn't, did they? No. Are there any plain clothes Rottweilers in the building? You see, the thing is, they got no substance to them. They haven't got any argument. They're just being told what to do from high on above, and they have no idea that one day they're going to get cancer and they're going to need somebody to give them some cannabis to calm them down. We see it all the time. I've got a story about a really, really horrible Rottweiler called Blackie Swart. He's an old Rottweiler, and he lives in Cape Town. He's nearly retired as a Rottweiler now, and he busted one of the directors of Fields of Green for All for something else and found some cannabis in the house. And it's been 3 years and about 60,000 rounds so far to keep it all together. He knocked on that man's door last month and said, "I've got cancer. Can you get me some help?" Right. So everyone's human in the end, and sometimes we can't get angry at the Rottweilers. They're just doing their job, unfortunately. So that's the perceptions we've got to change.
You mentioned knowing our rights.
Yes. So I brought some Know Your Rights booklets with me, and we brought a whole lot of flyers and stickers and things. And please, I don't want to take home any of these flyers and stickers. They'll all stay here and be circulated around. And if anybody needs extra information that you want to share in your communities or with your family or whatever, just let either Rob or Nikki or Berna or anybody who's in this area know, and I will courier you as many flyers and stickers as you need to spread the word.
One thing we didn't touch on in the TED talk, because it's only 15 minutes, that was the thing. Try and fit legalization into 15 minutes. It's a monster. We rewrote it 15 times in 4 weeks. It's like this, we went to this. We have got a system called Join the Queue, and there are people in this room who have joined the queue. It's a website called Join the Queue, one letter. And there is a national hotline on it. And if you get into Dwang with Rottweiler, then that number is a very handy thing to have, because we do have a system to keep you out of the jail, to keep it all sane, to keep the fear levels down, and we can offer you a stay of prosecution pending the outcome of our trial, because they're not prosecuting us, so how comes they want to prosecute anyone else? That's the philosophy, and it is working. I think nationally
and
there are...
Nationally, I think we're up to 21 states of prosecution now, and it doesn't matter whether you've been caught with one little spliffy in the roadblock, or whether you've been caught. I mean, one of the cases that we're dealing with at the moment was 500 kilograms of dried plant.
You got the visuals.
Yeah.
500 kilograms, people dry.
Yeah. So you know, it's a lot of ducker. So it doesn't matter if it's a small amount or a big amount, and then we try through the Join the Queue. It's not about trying to get off or whatever. It's about supporting legalization. And the more people that we have that stand up and say, no, I'm not going to pay that admission of guilt fine. You know, take the Rastafarian community in Knysna, for example. I think that the combined of the 120 or so people that live in Judas Square, I think they must have about 10,000 criminal records between them. Because they just keep paying the fine, 300 rand, 200 rand, 500 rand. Doesn't help. Doesn't help to pay that fine. Even if you've already got 10 criminal records, the next time the police says you pay that fine, you say, no, I am not paying that, I'm phoning the helpline, and I'm going to get a stand prosecution.
We have one in Neisner now. Neisner, the magistrate in Neisner, he's scared now because his cash cow's out the window. Literally. Yeah. We have got to stay, so there's no point busting anybody because we're just going to put him in the dock and ask for a stay. So his speedboat, his holiday in Plet, and his car and bakkie are all jeopardised now because that's what it basically is. The N2 bottleneck between George and Neisner is where everything comes from the Kai down to the cave. And it is this 30k section, it's like Mad Max. It's like running the gauntlet in a Pantech.
Question there, yes.
I just wanted to ask what comes to the office or the fullness?
Yeah.
Suspended
Yes.
sentence.
Yes.
Because it hasn't leave
You can It's 10 years. It's 10 years, and then you can apply to have that criminal record expired.
It doesn't automatically.
Once you've got that, you see, that's what happens if you pay the admission of guilt fine. Is that they don't tell you. There's a third piece of paper that they should give you, and it's all in our Know Your Rights booklet. There's a third piece of paper that they should give you that you've got to sign that says, if you pay this money, you're going to have a suspended sentence and a criminal record. And they don't tell you that, do they?
The other thing they don't tell you is you have 3 weeks to decide whether you want to pay an admission of guilt. And the minute they offer you a 100 rand fine, you are free to go to decide for 3 weeks. But they never tell you any of it. You are shitting yourself at this point.
But
you will do anything to get out.
But if you've got a suspended sentence,
5 years suspended sentence.
5. And now if they catch you, you put that number in your phone and you phone us straight away. If you, yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you even. I mean, we've got people in Join the Queue that have actually spent time inside already. You know, like 3 years, the one guy, whatever. So then you take a Know Your Rights booklet. Okay, you'll see our Know Your Rights booklet there. Take it, it's got the number on it, you put that number in your phone. And it's 24 hours a day, nationwide, that number. There'll always be somebody on the other side to help you. Because they probably know that you've got a suspended. And then if they'll look it up when they arrest you, and then they'll really start giving you a crack. Because they'll say, oh, we know you, and you're criminal and whatever. That's when you phone us as soon as you can.
I read one before that I was asking about 5 years.
Okay.
And
now they caught you again.
So they gave me another 5 years.
So you're the perfect candidate for the next time they catch you, we get you a stay of prosecution, because then you go like this to them.
The first time the case they gave me suspended when I was 14 years old.
No fine, straight suspension.
Hey, this is part of town you go in.
Yeah.
In Strand.
We believe there's 305 magistrates' courts in the country, and we believe they all have at least 3 cases a day. That's about 1,000 cannabis busts a day.
Yes. And so what about somebody who's been arrested every month for 3 years? Like me now. When the court comes to the decision that Mr. Stephen, you don't want to listen to what we have to say. There will be no more bail, there will be no more fines, there will only be jail sentence. Now what could we do about that? So the next time when I will appear in court, is when the court say, but it's been now like 8 or 9 years that I've been clean from the Rottweilers, as we say.
Yes.
So now when I go to court next time, what will happen? Like they said, they're tired of me being arrested like monthly.
So next time you go to court, we'll get a lawyer to come with you to apply for a stay of prosecution. Then you get a stay of prosecution for all cannabis charges. Then you keep that stamped piece of paper with you. Next time they come to arrest it, you show them that stamped piece of paper. And they know that if they arrest you again, you'll go and get another stamped piece of paper, and so you go. They won't be able to put you inside, they won't be able to prosecute you in any way until after our case is over. Sounds like you get that. So I think this is good. Lincoln and Robert wants to speak, and then we can answer lots of questions. Much longer.
This is a personal account of two people minding their own business against the Rottweilers.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm quite nervous about public speaking, so I'll be reading my story. My husband Michael, over there, won't be speaking as he still struggles terribly with anger when speaking about our experience. Writing the story had me reliving this experience all over, especially anxiety and fear. Please let me introduce myself. My name is Nikki, I'm 32. I live in the small town of Claymont. I'm happily married. I have a college education. I own and manage an online shop. I enjoy an active lifestyle. I love traveling. I recycle. I pay tax. And I'm not a criminal.
Yay!
Wednesday, 13 August 2014 is a date I will never forget. At about 3:30 in the afternoon, we were both working in my home office. The doorbell rang and our dogs went berserk. Michael went to open the front door. After a few minutes, our dogs were still barking. I could hear male voices talking, but didn't recognize any of the voices, so I got up to see I had popped round for a visit. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw and felt when I walked into that lounge. At least 8 uniformed police officers, and Michael showing them his almost empty tin of data. I've known Michael for going on 19 years, and I've never seen him so pale nor so wide-eyed and petrified in my life. Since I've known Michael, he has been using the data plant. I too have been using the plant on and off since my late teens. We exchanged a brief look, and I knew that my life would never be the same again. I knew what they had come for, and it wasn't that small tin of stick he was holding. I politely greeted everyone and asked if there was some sort of problem. The officer in charge explained to me that there had been complaints of illegal drug activity on our property and showed me a search warrant. Time stood still. I could hear my heart beating in my ears. It was so loud, I'm sure everyone in the room could hear my heartbeat. I felt my face flush, and instantly I was soaked in perspiration and nauseous. My legs were jelly. It cannot be happening to us. We were asked if we have anything to declare, and if not, a dog unit waiting outside will be brought into the property to rip the place apart. Michael then took the officers to a 3 square meter cupboard in our office. We had a cannabis grow room in our house, in a 3 square meter cupboard in our house. Hardly the factory or lab, as it was referred to later. I learned after the fact that according to our law, lights equal lab. If you have 1 plant or 1,000 plants, it is considered a lab. As soon as Michael had switched on the light, the cell phones came out and pictures were snapped by all the policemen. Hysterically happy calls were made. They had their big drug bust they'd come for. We were kept separate from here on out. Our cell phones were confiscated. Our house was searched, quite neatly I might add, and the dog unit was never brought in. A dog unit officer that has been in the force for almost 20 years complimented us on how neat our setup was, moments before they annihilated it. Our grow room was destroyed. Lights, fires and filters ripped out the roof, plugs pulled out the wall, wires cut and reflective paper torn off the walls. We were accused of our nutrients being cocaine or tip. All the equipment and plants hold on. I lost my We were accused of all the equipment and plants were dragged outside onto our patio for all passers-by to see. This was when I noticed that our entire street had been blocked off. They had sent about 8 police vans and by this time 12 police officers to arrest us. Really, we are 2 people. 2 extremely calm people that were in no way resisting arrest. We were sworn at by the police. They kept telling Michael that he was talking tough when he said he had shown them everything we had. Michael begged them to not arrest me, to only take him. Before this day, neither of us had any trouble with the law, nor seen the inside of a jail cell. I sat across the lounge and watched this unfold. I watched Michael beg, wide-eyed, his voice shaky with fear. I was petrified. We were taken to the police station after 6 p.m. We were allowed to take warm bedding. I had to take off all my jewelry and my watch included. I asked if I could take some toiletries and clean underwear, as I was menstruating at the time. Toiletries and medication, yes, no clean clothing. This was the first time I cried. I felt that I didn't deserve this treatment. At the police station, I was told I would spend the night in jail and be sent home the next day. We were also told that we would be better off If we had been brought in on murder charges, the bail would be less. Time became a bit of a blur at this stage. Shock and not having my watch obviously played a big part in this. Michael and I were sent to separate cells. I was alone in the cell the entire time, thank goodness. The cell had a light similar to a floodlight, burning 24 hours a day. I remember staring at the walls in the cell for hours on end. It could have been minutes, but it had to be hours because the sun eventually came up again. I didn't sleep. I don't know how anyone can sleep with that urine stench in their nose. The police station in Claymont is right next to the primary school. I could hear the school bell and could more or less judge what the time was on Thursday. I heard the bell, pause, noise. It must be after 2. Why was I still here? I'd been fixed for paperwork, fingerprints, and to pose for what must be a very charming photo early in the morning. The arresting officer had told me he doesn't know what we are being charged with, so I can't go until I've been charged. But he is sure I will get police bail before 4. I didn't. He also mentioned to me that this DACA stuff is a waste of his time. They are understaffed and there's more important work to do. We are just causing so much paperwork. Only after I released it, I learned that the police have up to 48 hours to charge you after your arrest, wait after you appear in court the next working day. We were charged with throwing and dealing in DACA on Thursday, 14 August, conveniently at 6 p.m, too late to get police bail. Another night in the stinking cell. I could hear Michael wasn't alone and that scared me. I could hear fighting and shouting. I could hear guys being added to the cell as the night went on, and then more fighting and shouting with each issue. All I could think about laying shivering in that stinking cold cell was Michael, and how much I loved him. I felt so helpless. I must have dozed off here and there because I was woken by the loud bangs of the cell door being opened at ungodly hours, and then hearing, "Peterson, you're not there." I gathered they were checking on how fluffed my pillows were, just if I was still alive. There was one extremely caring Afrikaans policeman. He brought me tea and what I assumed was supposed to be porridge in the morning. He reassured me that Michael was unharmed. He apparently also let Michael frequently know that I was still alone and okay. He allowed our family to see us. I've never in my life been so happy to hold my brother's hand as I was in clinging to him through those bars. The same policeman calmed me down when I couldn't stop crying. When I realized I was spending a second night in this ice-cold, stinking cell, he kept saying, "Nee man Nikki, moet asseblief nie huil nie. Dis net DACA. Jy gaan môre hof toe en dan gaan jy huis toe. Dis net DACA." It didn't feel like that. Why was I being treated like a criminal? Why did some man from the criminal intelligence unit with bad taste in shoes and an even worse demeanor drive all the way from Belleville to rudely speak at me and demand answers that I didn't have if this was net DACA? I was cold, tired, and terrified. I hadn't spoken to a lawyer yet. At this stage, I didn't even know what we were being charged with, and I didn't trust that I was going home anytime soon. We were released on bail the next morning, 1,000 rand for Michael, and I was released on the morning. While we were in the cells, a friend had contacted Jules and Myrtle, the DACA couple, for advice on how to help us. I am forever grateful to that friend for sending that email. I struggled terribly with anxiety and insomnia for months after our arrest. I couldn't eat for days after getting home. I would just get nauseous. That piss smell was so deeply lodged in my nose. Even after showering a few times, all I could smell was the inside of the cell. It is a smell I will never forget, no matter how hard I try. I couldn't go out in public on my own without feeling overwhelmed by fear and anxiety for the first week after being released. Michael literally had to hold my hand to get me to go out again. Michael struggled with anger, and he still does. He was angry that I had been arrested, and to see me struggle to process it was very difficult for him. He was mostly angry because he still feels what we did was not wrong. The law is wrong. The law is what needs to change, and I agree. We were completely prepared to pack up, move, and start over somewhere else. Claymont is a small, very conservative town, and we were convinced that the owner of our rented house would kick us out. We assumed Michael wouldn't be getting any new business in because we were sure we'd be branded as drug dealers. And what happened next? The complete opposite of our expectations. The owner said, "Oopsie, don't let it happen again. I hope you aren't in big trouble." The local rag wrote a sensation-laden piece about us and our DACA factory, even including our full address, a photo of us and of our house on the front page. But it backfired horrendously for him. The community embraced us. Our vet, as well as our pharmacist, offered to be character witnesses for us in court if we needed any. Business boomed, and we are still often referred to as the DACA couple. Yes, random cars drove past our house slowly the day after the newspaper article was published. There have been some snide remarks, a few scares, I've heard the whispers, last time Dappa Macy. I always smile at the people in passing, and I always hold my head high.